Big Ange has been sacked, and Spurs already have a replacement. The Australian was sacked by Tottenham Hotspur on the 6th of June, just 16 days after leading the club to an historic Europa League triumph, their first major silverware in 17 years. The timing sharply contrasts with the elation surrounding the 1-0 victory over Manchester United in Bilbao on 21st May 2025, a campaign milestone that secured Champions League qualification. Despite this continental glory, Tottenham endured a disastrous Premier League season, finishing 17th, just one place above relegation, with 22 losses, the most by any side avoiding the drop. Such a record marked their worst ever points tally in the Premier League era. These disastrous league results ultimately overshadowed the Europa League victory. In the club's official statement, Tottenham described the sacking as one of the toughest decisions following a review of performances and after significant reflection. The board unanimously determined that they needed to shift course if the club was to compete on multiple fronts in future. Chairman Daniel Levy focused on league stability over occasional cup success, saying emotional attachments to trophies couldn't outweigh long-term performance. This viewpoint aligns with a growing trend in football, where sustained league consistency and financial security take precedence over sporadic cups. Reactions to the dismissal were sharply divided. Many Spurs players expressed their dismay, and captain Son Heung-min stated, "You are a Tottenham Hotspur legend forever." Similarly, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven and Dean Kulusevski were said to be livid at the decision, suggesting no fallout in the dressing room. Media and fans were less unified. In Australia, commentators branded the choice cold-hearted, with ABC acknowledging it was predictable while questioning why a proven winner was dismissed. The footprint of Ange's tenure was bold. He revived the club's attacking identity, Ange Ball, delivered the Europa League, and returned Tottenham to continental relevance. Indeed, he became the first Australian and first Greek manager to win a European trophy. Yet Premier League frailties, intensified by injuries and inconsistent domestic form, ultimately determined his fate. Click here for our video on Spurs and Daniel Levy. Financially, the cost was steep. A £4 million payout, atop a £2 million bonus for his Europa League success, represented a significant investment for a club without ultra-wealthy ownership. In the aftermath, Spurs have embarked on an urgent search for a replacement. Brentford's Thomas Frank, Fulham's Marco Silva, Andoni Iraola, and Oliver Glasner emerged as candidates. But it looks like Thomas Frank is leading the race. The architect. Thomas Frank's managerial journey is one of methodical rise, tactical intelligence, and transformative leadership. His tenure at Brentford is widely regarded as one of the most successful examples of long-term football planning in modern English football. Arriving in December 2016 as an assistant coach, Frank helped knit together Brentford's distinctive B-team model with its first team. When he stepped up as head coach in October 2018, following the departure of Dean Smith, the team was struggling. However, Frank quickly brought stability, eventually finding success by shifting to a 3-4-3 setup that better suited Brentford's strengths. Under his stewardship, Brentford made consistent progress. By the 2019-20 season, they were knocking on the door of the Premier League. Though initially falling short in the playoffs, Frank led Brentford to a historic promotion in May 2021 through a dramatic playoff final win. In his first 200 matches, he accumulated 90 victories, an unmatched tally in the club's history. Once in the Premier League, Brentford didn't merely aim for survival, they thrived. Frank developed a team that was not only hard to beat, but also capable of outsmarting and outscoring more established clubs. Brentford became renowned for their structured defending, lethal counter-attacks, and set-piece excellence. Their transformation into a mid-table Premier League side with minimal resources has drawn significant admiration, including from the decision-makers at Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham's interest in Frank isn't hard to understand. He represents a blend of pragmatism and ambition. With limited resources, he's consistently helped Brentford outperform clubs with much larger budgets. His tactical flexibility is a particular strength. Frank isn't dogmatic about formations. At Brentford, he rotated between 3-5-2, 4-3-3 and 4-5-1, tailoring his game plan to opponents, injuries and player availability. He emphasises defensive compactness and is equally comfortable instructing a high-pressing side or retreating into a structured low block. That sort of flexibility is attractive to a club like Spurs, where expectations are high and squad depth can be tested by European campaigns. Frank's Brentford sides have also stood out for their prowess at set pieces. Working closely with specialist staff, he has turned corners and free kicks into consistent goal-scoring opportunities. This is an area where Tottenham have underachieved in recent years and could benefit enormously under his guidance. Another key quality is his success in working within a data-driven recruitment model, maximising the potential of undervalued players. This mirrors Spurs' preference for sustainability under Daniel Levy. Tactically, Frank emphasises defensive shape first. His teams are compact in defence, often retreating into a 5-3-2 or 4-5-1 when not in possession. Unlike managers who press relentlessly, Frank's press is selective and highly organised. Once the ball is won, transitions are swift and purposeful. He encourages direct passes to physically strong forwards capable of holding the ball up and bringing others into play. Brentford's attacks often originate from wide overloads, with wing-backs pushing high to support inverted wingers who cut inside to create numerical superiority. He combines this with carefully rehearsed set-piece routines that feature blocking runs, decoy movements and far-post switches. If Frank is appointed Spurs manager, his tactical methods could bring a radical, but stabilising, change to the current squad. Defensively, he could opt for a back three or a more rigid four-man system, with Mickey van der Ven and Christian Romero providing mobility and aggression. Rodrigo Bentancur, Sarr and Yves Bissouma offer excellent anchoring pivot options, much like Christian Nørgaard at Brentford. This would improve a defensive unit that conceded an alarming number of goals under Ange. Wing-backs will play a vital role. Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie are natural fits for Frank's preferred wide roles. Highly mobile, technically sound, and capable of affecting the game at both ends. In midfield, Bissouma and Sarr could provide the control and bite that Frank values, while someone like James Maddison would thrive as a box-to-box threat with licence to create, akin to Matthias Jensen at Brentford. Up front, Frank's reliance on a physical, intelligent striker in the mould of Ivan Toney could see Brennan Johnson and Solanke playing key roles. Johnson's pace and ability to stretch defences could mirror Bryan Mbeumo's function in transitions. Heung-min Son, of course, remains indispensable. His movement and finishing would suit Frank's attacking patterns, especially when breaking quickly against disorganised defences. Kulusevski could be used either wide or centrally, supporting transitions and delivering final passes. Dominic Solanke, Thomas Frank could utilise him as the focal point of a structured transitional attack. Solanke's hold-up play, intelligent movement, and ability to link midfield and attack align perfectly with Frank's tactical approach. He could serve a similar role to Ivan Toney at Brentford, occupying defenders, creating space for runners like Son and Maddison, and pressing from the front. Under Frank's guidance, Solanke could evolve into a complete Premier League centre-forward. Set pieces are another area where Frank will demand immediate improvement. Tottenham possess tall, aggressive players, Romero, Van der Ven, Bentancur, who could become primary targets in a more organised set-piece approach. James Maddison, with his delivery, could become a cornerstone of this strategy. Of course, challenges await. Spurs' current squad has been moulded around a very different philosophy. Ange's high-line pressing and positional rotations are far from Frank's structured pragmatism. The shift may require patience, particularly from supporters yearning for expansive, attacking football. However, Frank's brand of football is not dull. It is calculated and effective. His Brentford team could play directly and dynamically while remaining defensively sound. Under the Australian, Tottenham often struggled defensively due to their ultra-attacking, high-line system that left large spaces in transition, especially when possession was lost in midfield. At Brentford, Frank built one of the most consistently solid defensive units in the Premier League, despite limited resources. His use of a compact mid-block, zonal discipline, and well-drilled pressing patterns reduced exposure in dangerous areas and limited high-quality chances. At Spurs, Frank would likely prioritise positional discipline over relentless pressing. He tends to favour pragmatic setups that adjust based on the opponent, using back threes or flexible 4-3-3s to maintain defensive shape. This tactical adaptability would allow Spurs to manage games more effectively, especially against top opposition. The defence would benefit from clearer positional instructions and more consistent protection from midfield. Cultural adaptation will also be key. Frank's personable nature, man management skills, and emotional intelligence have been widely praised. He has built tight-knit squads with clear hierarchies and strong locker room cohesion. At a club like Spurs, where past managers have clashed with senior players or struggled to maintain unity, this human element could prove just as important as tactics. Another factor is recruitment. While Tottenham's budget surpasses Brentford's, their approach remains measured. Frank's comfort in working under data-led, financially prudent systems aligns well with Levy's philosophy. If given time and authority, he could blend Spurs' top talents with smart additions to create a balanced, unified squad capable of competing across multiple fronts. Thomas Frank is more than just a safe option. He offers a footballing philosophy grounded in adaptability, efficiency, and togetherness. His Brentford achievements underscore his capacity to overachieve without abandoning structural principles. For Tottenham, seeking stability after the hectic Ange Ball era, Frank could deliver a blend of pragmatism and quiet ambition that lays the foundation for long-term success. The fit is logical. The timing, with Spurs at a crossroads, could be ideal. The question is whether Spurs will commit to his approach and whether Frank can scale his Brentford blueprint to match Tottenham's larger, more demanding canvas. With Champions League football secured, Tottenham Hotspur are poised for a transformative summer. If you were Frank, who would your first signing be? If, as expected, Thomas Frank takes over in North London, Spurs' recruitment strategy could reflect his deeply ingrained principles of tactical discipline, player development, and club culture. 3 players, Mathys Tel, Mohamed Kudus, and Kevin Schade, emerge as logical targets not only due to talent but because of their alignment with Frank's footballing blueprint. Tel, on loan at Spurs, remains a high-priority target, and they will be looking to active the £45 million option to buy clause. The 20-year-old Bayern Munich forward has shown glimpses of explosive quality despite limited minutes in the Bundesliga. Spurs have been monitoring him closely and are reportedly preparing a serious bid, buoyed by the promise of Champions League exposure and more regular playing time. Frank's system, which favours vertical attacks and multifunctional forwards, would suit Tel's speed, off-the-ball movement and ability to stretch defences, particularly as a wide forward or second striker in a 3-5-2 or fluid 4-3-3. Mohamed Kudus, meanwhile, offers immediate impact. His combination of physicality, technique and versatility makes him ideal for Frank's structured yet flexible setup. Kudus thrives in transitional play and tight spaces, 2 key areas of Frank's tactical philosophy. At Brentford, Frank often constructed wide overloads and inside channels that relied on sharp ball carriers. Kudus could excel here, acting as a more creative version of Bryan Mbeumo, able to initiate attacks and finish them. With West Ham potentially open to sales after a mixed season, Spurs' Champions League berth could tip the scales. Then there's Kevin Schade, perhaps the most underappreciated piece of this puzzle. The German winger was handpicked by Frank at Brentford for his raw pace, pressing intensity, and potential to grow under elite coaching. While injury setbacks have limited his impact, Frank clearly believes in his ceiling. If Frank is appointed, it wouldn't be surprising to see him push for Schade's inclusion at Spurs, either as a squad rotation option or developmental project. He fits the mould of a modern wide player, direct, athletic, and tactically coachable. All 3 players embody Frank's commitment to systems over stardom. He prioritises players who buy into collective roles, pressing with purpose, defending in numbers, and exploiting space intelligently. His Brentford culture was built on humility, clarity, and mutual trust, qualities he will want to replicate in a bigger, more demanding Spurs environment. Tel, Kudus, and Schade aren't just talented, they're the kind of personalities who would thrive under a manager who values cohesion over chaos. In blending Frank's methodical culture with Spurs' ambition and resources, these signings could mark the beginning of a more grounded, sustainable era, one where identity, not impulse, defines the club's next chapter.